hope everyone's doing okay and had a great holidays and hope for all the best in 21. Hopefully it'll be a better year for everybody. And this is our first actual event in 21. So I'm excited to hopefully do more from France. Hopefully I'll be here on a regular basis. Hannah's here. Oh, okay. Hannah's right over here. She's hiding. So we're going to taste 3 wines, that, all new releases that just arrived in the U.S. about 2 months ago. And there she is.
Hi, guys. Good to see you.
And yeah, Hannah's taking good care of me. Don't worry. When I showed up, she had the house stocked and a nice lunch made for me. And it's been great. It's been great. We've had a good, so she's been working most of the time, but we'll get a few days together. So these are all new wines I decided to highlight. Most of you haven't had them yet. And I'm really excited. These are, the 2 reds are from the 18 vintage, which was a fantastic, we've had a string of just great vintages here in Burgundy. The last 3 years have all been phenomenal. And so we have the 18 reds and then the 19 Aligoté as well. And I've had these open for a while, and they're really starting to open up, and they're showing well. They're still all really young wines and have a long way to go. So hopefully you guys will put some away and let it age a little bit. So we're going to start with Aligoté, and then in terms of questions, it's a little hard for me to see everything from here, but definitely let's get questions on the wines. I'll tell you about the wine and then maybe taste it, and then we'll open up for some questions. Everybody has any questions about it? So the first is the 2019 Aligoté. And a little bit about this wine. Technically, this is Aligoté, but it's all from the appellation of Beaune. And I've been making wine from these vineyard sites on and off since 2012. And I never used the appellation name on the label before, as Beaune is the technical appellation name. And starting with the 2020, we're going to switch over to the Beaune appellation. And the reason being is that we had these grapes on and off from the grower. Every few years we had it and didn't have it. And then starting with 19, we had the whole production from Beaune. And in this past year, we actually took over the farming of the vineyard and have leased the whole property from the owner. So it's about a little over 6 acres of Beaune appellation. And we are now farming it and managing. We have a long-term lease on the property. So going forward, I know I have a reliable source of Aligoté, and the name Beaune, the appellation, is the only appellation, official appellation for Aligoté, the village of Beaune. And so we'll be switching the name to the AOC name, which is more prestigious. And I think everyone knows, people who know Aligoté know that the style Aligoté and the characteristics, this is a little bit different variety of Aligoté. It's Aligoté Doré, which is a more golden grape and a lot more intensity, and really produces a fantastic style Aligoté. So this is the 2019, and it's from, we have 3 parcels in Beaune, and they're in two of them are right next to each other on the southeast facing slopes, and then the other one, the Beaune, is a little bit on the south side of the village with a more west-southwest facing slope. So they're a little bit different in aspect, but the 2 that are right next to each other, Les Clous and Sous les Bois, are 2 of the most well-known vineyards in the village. And these sites are amazing. They're steep slopes, very light, rocky limestone soils. They get very ripe, a lot of early morning and good part of the day heat, and they ripen incredibly well. In my year, like I said, I've been working with these grapes since 2012, and I've seen how these grapes ripen, and it's really pretty unique for which makes them very well known here in this area, those 2 vineyard sites. And so what we do with the Aligoté, it's an aromatic variety, and so we want to really bring out the aromatics in this wine. And so I kind of make it the same way I make my Viognier and Petit Manseng in Virginia. We do skin contact, so we actually destem it and put it in a tank, or depending on the lot, maybe just in the press, and let it soak in the press for about 5 to 8 hours, and then let it macerate a little bit on the skin so we can pull out a little bit more aromatic quality, also some mouthfeel. Aligoté excuse me, is known for its great acidity, sometimes too much acidity. So we like to, oh, thanks, Hannah. A little water here. So we like to balance the acidity with a little bit of that skin contact to kind of give it a little more weight and structure. And then it's barrel fermented in older barrels. We don't use any new oak in our Aligoté. So it's supposed to highlight the fruit and the aromatics and not overpower with any oak. But it's such a pretty intense wine that it really carries a lot of its own natural weight without any of the new oak added to it. The appellation of Bouzeron is a tiny appellation. I believe there's only about, was it 50, 60 hectares of vineyards, and it's a small appellation that's kind of off the main track of the Côte d'Or, I'm sorry, Côte de Beaune and Côte de Nuit is down just in the Côte Chalonnaise. So, sorry. But it's gaining a lot of popularity, and there's just a handful of producers in this region, in this village. So having said all that, hopefully guys, this wine is still really young. Aligoté really can age well. It's because of the natural acidity and in the weight and character of the wine, it really has a lot of potential. I kind of like tasting it more after like 3 or 4 years in the bottle. It really starts to evolve. But right now, young is still fresh, aromatic, kind of almost in a Sauvignon Blanc style in terms of aromatics and mouthfeel. Too much of my stew before the tasting. I'm getting so aromatically, I hope you guys can get some. I get kind of lemon peel, a little bit of I get a little fennel. A lot of citrus notes in this, but it also has a little bit of a grassiness too. I almost get a little bit of that Sauvignon Blanc style feel to it in the aromatics. But once you taste the wine, for me, it really kind of just is a very broad, weighty wine, even though it has no oak. But the skin contact, I think, really gives us volume in this wine. And it just has great acidity, lots of really nice acidity. And you start to pick up a little of the minerality on the palate too, some funkiness. Yeah, nice little kind of tartness, lemon, little apple note, but for me, it just kind of has a nice viscous salinity that kind of just goes along in the end. And mine's been open for a couple hours, so it's because it's such a young wine, it needed a little bit more air. And I think if you maybe leave some in your glass, if you have it, let it sit for a little bit. If you just opened it, it will get open up a little more, be a little more expressive. But it's really great young and citrusy and fresh. And then as it ages, it'll soften, round out, and get a little oily and be even more expressive. So we only make, we're increased our production to about 200 cases of this wine, and really excited about it. It's a good value wine for Burgundy, and we've seen a lot of interest in restaurants, and it really, I think, has a bright future for us. So we're really putting a lot into it. So any comments? Anybody want to talk about the wine? I've come closer so I can see. And I mean, pairing wise with cheese, Hannah, what would you suggest?
Yeah, for those of you who have seen our cheese and wine pairings, I did put a little thought into this one per the request of a few of you. So as this wine is really bright and acidic, I thought a goat cheese, a medium-aged goat cheese would be a nice complement to pull out the acidity, the citrus notes. So something like the Humboldt Fog out of Cypress Grove in California, which is a goat brie. So really creamy, and then it has a nice kind of firm rind. Otherwise, triple cream for sure. Anything full fat, really rich. The brightness of this wine will really balance the heaviness of the cream, and it'll play out a lot of nice flavors in the wine.
All right, great shellfish wine. It's good. Oh, I have our gallery view. Oh. Obviously, yeah, there's a great scallops or shrimp, shellfish is ideal with this. It could handle a little bit creamier chicken dish as well. So it's you know, similar to how you would pair a Sauvignon Blanc and, you know, maybe a lighter style Chardonnay in terms of food pairing. So you guys have
Michael?
any? Yeah.
How would this wine compare with the 2018 Aligoté?
Very similar. The vintages are very, very similar in terms of the maturity and the growing conditions. In terms of the style of wine, I mean, we've had 3 kind of, you know, vintages that have all been very similar in terms of the chemistry, the style of the grape. So almost, you know, so slight variation between vintage, but not much else.
So you'd give the 18 as well as the 19 3 or 4 years before you're really ready to start.
Yeah, I just have I had a bottle 18 here that's really starting to open up a little bit, and it's got a long way to go.
Good, thank you.
Anyone else?
Janine.
Janine? Oh, unmute yourself, Janine.
No, she
Oh.
no.
Oh,
Thank you for Janine.
Oh.
So Janine did the pairing. I suggested, it seems, and she said it.
oh, you're
works
reading
well.
reading the comments.
reading,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Now we're modern.
All right. Even with my glasses, I still can't see.
The lighting is dim.
Yeah, no, I was chatting because I don't know how many people there are, and it's sometimes can be hard to talk over the Zoom, but the pairing was great. I'm so glad that Hannah told us what cheese to get ahead of time, because I've really, I've always loved wine, but the cheese and the wine together when it's paired brings out the flavors of the wine so much. And like I said in the chat, I'm very excited to hear that the Aligoté ages, because I now have I didn't say this in the chat, but I now have a wine refrigerator, a big one, so I can fill it up. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Janine.
Good.
Good to hear.
Michael, you say you use neutral barrels. How long a time does this spend in the barrel?
It's usually bottled. It's harvest in September and bottled by June, July. It goes through malolactic fermentation in the barrel, and here, traditionally, a lot of times both the fermentation and the malolactic fermentation take a long time because of the cold cellars, and everything I do is natural, no inoculating of any yeast or culture for bacteria. So the process is slow. We still have some wines fermenting from this past harvest in the whites. So usually by April, May, things finish up when it gets a little bit warmer out and we open up the cellar doors, and then usually in bottle by June or July. So it's not something I age like the whites, the Merceau, and some of the other whites we age over a year into 15 to 16 months in barrel. So this one, because it's older barrels and the style, I kind of, usually about, 9, 10 months.
Beautiful. Thank you.